I went through what I went through starting at like 7 years old. Like I was being molested by my stepfather.
Oh no,
God! I'm sorry to hear that.
My bad.
No. This is story.
But I'm comfortable talking about it now because it's like it didn't make me. It just happened to me, right? So that was happening early. So I had a very involuntary and aggressive introduction to sex. So I started becoming self-conscious a lot earlier, and people don't even talk about that. They think that little girls that get molested, we're thinking about it like when we get older, we're only, how do I say this? Like, it's uncomfortable talking about the weird things you thought about while that was happening to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, like now that I'm older, now that I'm having sex on my own, why is it that I only enjoy sex if it's painful? Stuff like that. Like nobody's talking about that. And then I realized because the introduction I had to sex was painful. So that's what my body identifies with. But now I've taken control over it. And now I'm like, well, I'm doing this because I like it. Not because I feel like that's what I got to do. And then also when I was younger, I was thinking about little things like as I started to get older and it was happening, it was like how I looked walking around the house. Like I'm not doing it for him, but it's like, do I not look attractive? I'm not getting attention from him. Not like I want the attention. It's unwanted attention. But little things like that would cross my mind. And I would think I was broken. Like I would think there was something wrong with me as a 9, 10, 11-year-old girl because I don't want the sexual attention, but it's like, why aren't you giving me that attention? Am I ugly now? Is my body growing in a weird way? Am I getting older? It was never my fault. I know that now. Yeah. Now, if I was to talk to a little girl who was my age when that was happening, I'd be like, well, you were being groomed. Like, you were definitely being groomed. Right. So it's like giving you breadcrumbs, compliments, hurting you, and then taking it away so that you actually crave it more. That's what predators do.
That's also why it's a strategy.
How did you went through counseling to figure this out, or this is just sitting down thinking?
I be talking. I just sit down a lot. I think I talk to my partner a lot. Like we just be talking, and it just comes out. I want to do therapy. I've never gone to therapy. Nah, I was in the Jamaica Hospital psychiatric unit for like two weeks at one point. I was trying to kill myself.
At the time when
I was 21. Yeah.
Just 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you think this is because of some of the traumatic experiences you had as a kid?
I was ignoring it. Like I knew it happened. I was talking about it. I was writing songs about it, but I don't think I was actually addressing what happened to me. So again, 21 makes sense. Now I'm at like the peak of like my sexual liberation and shit, right? Yeah, so I'm realizing as I'm meeting people, these things are seeping through in my relationships because I never really healed from that. I said I was over it because I was, but then I'm noticing little things like I was showering like 3-4 times a day. Right. And even now I'm still kind of getting over that. Like I do need to shower a lot. I don't think it's OCD, but it's like there were times where like I would just start thinking about it and I feel icky. I feel dirty. Now I got to go take a shower. And I was scrubbing until my skin was turning red and shit. And I think one day it just like really got to me. And, I was like, let me think on this. Like, do I really want to do this?
Let me ask you
think
this.
with my mom.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry. Does this have anything to do with sex? That you're feeling dirty, or you just feeling dirty throughout the day without sex, and you want to take a shower?
without sex. It was happening. It was happening randomly. That's why I knew it wasn't valid. So I thought on it, and I'm like, is this something I really want to do? Do I really want to be here? Do I not want to be here? I'm thinking about my mother and stuff like that. So I had one more show that was coming up. It was like right when COVID was kind of like lifting a little bit. And I had a show that was coming up in Brooklyn. I was going to see all my homies. I haven't seen them in like a year. So I'm like, I'm going to go to this show. I'm going to see how I feel after I see everybody that I love. Maybe it's because we've been isolated. And if I still want to do it, I'm going to do it. And I went, I saw everybody, and I felt so much love, and I was so happy. But when I went home, I still felt the same way. Wow. And I was like, damn, I don't want to be here. And luckily, there was people around when it was happening, and it didn't have to get to where it could have gotten to.
What did you do to try to kill yourself?
It was, nobody caught me in the act of anything. Okay. I wasn't able to almost act on anything. It was, people noticed I wasn't acting right. Like I was trying to get rid of them, which I don't do. Trying to get rid of them. I was trying to be by myself. Certain text messages were found and stuff like that. So they ended up going to my mom saying, I don't think Petty is right now. And everybody ended up sitting me down in the living room, and I just broke down. I just broke down about what I was going through, and it was really sad. I was very frustrated. I was angry at my friends for going to my mom. Because, she's the last person who I want to see me like that.
But you needed that,
right.
though.
Yeah. Right. Because she's like, I'm her I'm her anchor.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Part of your therapy, though, all of that.
Yeah, now I am looking into therapy now. Like, I actually
this is part of it too, being on this.
Right.
Oh yeah, I talk about it all the time because I'm like, what am I being ashamed for? Talking about what am I getting nervous for? Somebody could be going through it right now. Find y'all Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Hear this, and then feel like, oh, like I feel heard, I feel seen.
Let me ask you this then. How long was this happening?
7 to 12, 13.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever confront the person who did this to you?
Yeah, he not really. Like, I've been thinking about it as an adult. Like, I really, really want to confront him. I feel like God is doing his number on that, man.
Like, you just roaming the streets?
Yeah.
You never tried to get him?
No, I've thought about
brought to justice?
When I was younger,
was he around your age, or he so much older than you?
My stepfather?
Oh, he's your stepfather.
Yeah, she says her stepfather. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Wow.
No, yeah, now he's probably in his 50s or something like that. Yeah, I was a grown ass man.
Did your
My mom didn't know what was going on. It wasn't until, I kid you not, my mom used to sit down with me and watch Law and Order. I knew what was happening was wrong. I knew that. I was smart. It wasn't until we were watching Law and Order and we were watching some episode and Olivia from Law and Order, she was describing like something. I can't really remember exactly what she said, but something she said like clicked with me and I was like, oh my God, like I'm going through that. I didn't know how to talk to anybody about it, so I held on to it a little bit longer. And then like 4th of July weekend when I was like 11, 12, I want to say, my cousin, I was in Long Island in Uniondale. Yeah, in Uniondale. And we were talking outside, riding our bikes, and I just ended up sharing with her what was happening, and I made her promise not to tell nobody. Luckily, though, you know, I was mad at her when I was younger because I'm a child, but luckily, though, she did go to her grandmother, and she ended up saying what was happening. They had me in the living room. They were talking to me, like the women in the family. They were talking to me. They were asking me, like, exactly what happened, because this is his family. It was my step family, but it didn't feel like step family, you know what I'm saying? So they were talking to me about what happened. They brought my mom in because they didn't want me to feel like I couldn't talk in front of her. She came in. She heard what happened. She said she gonna handle it. I was like, okay. Me and my mom have a great relationship now, by the way, while I'm saying this. Before we didn't, but we have definitely, like, you know, came back to it. We talked about it. And my mom said she was going to handle it. The men in the family said they were going to handle it. And these are, like, I had G's in my family. Like, so I'm thinking they going to handle it the way that they would handle somebody who fucking stepped on their shoe type shit. Yeah. But they didn't. And it made me look at them differently. Made me look at them like, oh, y'all pussy. Like, y'all not really like that.
What did they do, though? They didn't...
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Nothing. There was no roughing nobody up. Right. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't, and that's why I was so scared. In my head, I'm like, oh, I don't want my cousin to go to jail. I don't want my uncle to go to jail. I don't want this. I don't want that. So I'm not gonna say nothing. But they didn't do nothing. I don't even think that they had a conversation.
Do you believe it?
Now that I'm older and certain conversations have been had, I know that they did. I just think that they wasn't trying to be. Nobody want to
ruffle feathers.
Yeah, like nobody want to do that, I guess.
But they did.
They didn't have no conversation.
You're convinced, though, they believed you.
Now
they just didn't want to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: so when they found out, what happened? Like, did your mother leave? Did you stay? Did it continue?
My mom, by this point, it stopped happening, right? Because at that point, it's blown up, right? Blown up. My mom, the way that she handled it, and I forgive her now. She knows that. The way she handled it was, I think, like 2 days later. The house was really quiet for them 2 days. Like 2 days later, we was all inside the car. We was outside of my grandmother's house. My grandmother, her mom. And she just kind of like turned around and she was like, y'all need to talk about this. And then she got out the car and she left us to talk about it. But he was on some like, oh, like it was like he was only talking about like as if it was one instance. He was like, oh, I might have been half asleep. Maybe I thought you was your mother, stuff like that. I'm a child. So I'm just like, I'm not really, that's not like hitting me. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. So I was just quiet. You kind of, it's like cat got your tongue type shit.
Your mom thought the best way to handle
at that time
was for you.
But now I know why.
Okay.
Now I know why. Okay. As I got older and we had a conversation, I learned that she went through the same thing and her mother kind of handled it the same way. I feel like she didn't really know any better. Now she does, but she didn't really know any better at the time, I feel like, So she didn't know any better. So I forgive her. I was really mad at her at the time.
You have I would think you would have every right to be mad. Like, what?
Yeah.
He could have did something then right there.
After that, like me and his relationship, and it was so confusing.
Wait, they still together?
No, absolutely not. No, but it wasn't that broke them up. That's why I was so mad at my mom. She was still with him for like another 4 or 5 years. But it wasn't that broke them up. It was him cheating and all that broke them up. Exactly. So I felt the same way.
That breaks them up.
I'm
about to say that. Like,
you know, not to like put my mama business out there and nothing like that. But she knows I'm allowed to talk about this and stuff.
Sure.
She was. I'm accepting the fact that my parents are humans, like they're people. They're not just my parents. Before they were my parents, they had a whole life. So the same way that I'm going through what I'm going through in my 20s, my mom was going through what she was going through in her 20s, 30s, stuff like that. So her confidence was really, really low. This man was beating at her confidence. He was emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, all that. So I can only imagine if I was going through that right now and I don't have no kids, I don't have anything tying me to anybody, no car, no house, no nothing, and I would feel beaten down like that. I can only imagine if you have your whole life tied in with somebody and they're beating you down like that, you know? So I forgive her. I know she was going through what she was going through. My mom loved me. That's my best friend. Yeah. I know she would never let anything like that happen now. What's poppin', y'all? It's Petty the Av, baby, the princess of Southside. You know what I'm saying? Y'all watching the Thanks for Asking podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, share with your homie, share with your brother, share with your sister. Yeah.